Welcome everyone to Crusader Kings III, a showcase for the new Ruler Designer. Of course, I need to point out this video was sponsored by Paradox, who asked me to collaborate with them to show you guys the Crusader Kings III Ruler Designer update, which is coming out free today for all of you to play and test out right now, actually, when the video's gone live. So there'll be links to that in the description and in the top comment as well, so you guys can take a look. And I should mention as well, of course, I recently worked with Paradox making a video on the Ruler Designer for their own channel as well, on the Paradox Grand Strategy channel, so go and check that one out. But of course, I was more than happy to agree to work with them here on this here sponsored video for my channel, because there are a few things I would like to do. There's a couple of opportunities that I think we can really work with here. Now, those of you who watched my Crusader Kings III video yesterday will know that I've been working on a mod, which is not sure. I'm not sure whether it's something I should be proud of or not, but I want to use the new Ruler Designer. One of the features in it basically allows you guys to share characters with people. Using the DNA, you can copy the DNA of the custom characters you create and share them around. Now, I'm looking for rulers to populate my mod with. I've got plenty of spare places, plenty of spare counties and duchies that I need some glorious landed characters to populate with. So today we'll be designing our own here, ready to place somewhere in my little world. But of course, I want to run a little bit of a kind of a little friendly competition here as well, for you guys to send me some rulers for me to chuck into my mod. So send them to me over Discord, Twitter, wherever basically you can find me. And I'm going to take my favorite ones and throw them into the Battle of Crowns, as I'm calling it. So that's exactly what we're going to do here today as well. Design a new one for that. So, well, I'm going to treat it to the tutorial for those guys of you who are absolutely very new to this. So let's go for any ruler in any bookmark you can use the Ruler Designer with. So we're just going to pick 867. You know what? I know the type of character I want to make. And I think I'm going to start in the Wrath of the Northman bookmark here. And we are going to say, players any ruler in 867 or create your own. I think I know the type of guy I want to make. And I think I know what I want him to do out here in the world. So I'm actually going to pick a character up here in Orkney. So when you click on any character on the world map, and again, this can be any character, historical, randomly generated, or otherwise, you can hit the create your own ruler option, which will take you to this incredible Ruler Designer, which I am actually super impressed with. I didn't talk about this too much in the video I actually did for Paradox, but in this one, I want to mention how much better it is than the Crusader Kings II Ruler Designer. It is insanely good by comparison, and of course, it's a free update, and more importantly, it lets you play with achievements. So it's got many layers that I think put it head and shoulders. They've done a really great job with this. So I want to make a guy who is a kind of... I want to make a character who is an obstacle for other characters to have to contend with. So I think a Norse character on a little island by himself, so he's not going to blob out of control, but is going to be that constant threat, is exactly what I'm aiming for here. So we are going to stick with the Ass of True Faith. We are going to stick with North Germanic as well, so we've got the rating, and I'll give him a very flavorful name, but of course one of my own making here too. Mostly, I think a lot of the focus is going to be on the appearance here, because that's something that I like being able to play around with. So weight, of course, we can go anything from tiny boy to absolute unit. I think we're going to go slightly on the larger side. You know, I want it to be quite fierce. I want to strike fear on the battlefield into our enemies. Let's go and... Now, for the other character that I designed, I specifically created them within the achievements point limit here. Now, like I said, you can actually exceed this to whatever value you want, but bear in mind, if you do that, of course, you won't be able to gain achievements. There are no limitations, though, however, on how you distribute stats outside of that. So I want to make a character that's fearsome, so I'm more than happy to exceed the achievement limit this time around to get this guy into action. I think it's going to be pretty great. So, what shall we call him? God, I always struggle with this. It needs to be something kind of, you know, it needs to be something fearful. It needs to be something maybe kind of violent, something that makes you feel dread just from hearing his name. Oh, I'm pretty happy with that one. Cuddles the Enormous of the Back Scratcher Dynasty. And of course, if you're struggling to name, like I tend to and edit out in a lot of my videos, you can just hit the random name button and it will generate you one based on history and then kind of customize it from there. So we've got Cuddles the Enormous. And I want his dynasty coat of arms to be something kind of fearful. I like some of these Nordic ones, actually. They really do suit the character a lot better. Ooh, the bear is pretty good. Yeah, let's go for the bear. And then the chieftain of Orkney can get a new coat of arms as well. Oh, that one's good. That one's nice and subtle. You've got the kind of longboat there in the Swedish colors. That's pretty good. Okay, we're gonna roll with that. We're gonna make him slightly younger. You know, I want him to have really made a name for himself as a fearsome reaver, even though he's only kind of a young guy. That's pretty good. Education. So basically, I'm pretty happy with our character's background here. I'm gonna leave sexual orientation to random too, and just let whatever he decide be how he lives his life. But you can choose any of the in-game faiths, which I'm a big fan of, because that means that we can actually do these custom starting characters without the gigantic piety cost that you would have to incur in the game to convert over. You know, whether that's to your liege's religion or to find it. I believe it's 1,000 base piety, isn't it, to convert to a religion from the religion menu. So just being able to start as that means that you could do some really, really interesting challenge runs and still have achievements enabled, which is great. Culture, I mean, North Germanic is pretty good. We could make him specifically something else, but I'm quite happy to stick with that one. Just to again, given that raiding background. So on this side here, we can see our customization points because I put all the power into Marshall so far. We're up to 368 on that front. 22 years of age. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And then for his weight, maybe I should slim him down a bit. So prowess is the thing that actually affects muscle mass. So we could have him maybe slightly larger, maybe not as large as I had him before, and then obviously want to chunk up the prowess. And then if him instead of him being, you know, cultivating mass here, he is just a muscle-bound madman. What about 40-40? I quite like that. And then drop down learning, because he's a bit of a meathead. I think that's really what I'm going for here with this character. I want him to be good with words as well. You know, mighty with the sword, mighty with words, but terrible at ruling around. He shouldn't be a ruler, but he's just earned it through, you know, through some witty retorts and through some high martial prowess there as well. That's a pretty great combo. We can start customizing the mighty cuddles with the change appearance button here at the bottom of the screen. May have been a button I pressed earlier. And that will allow you to pick your character's base ethnicity to start randomizing. So West African, Arabic, Asian, West Central European, Northern Arctic, East African, Northern Indian, South Indian, Mediterranean, or Slavic. We're going to go for Northern, as that is, you know, I think pretty suitable for Orkney. And let's go ahead and customize further. So this down here, by the way, is the section I was talking about earlier, where you can copy the character's DNA, and that will allow you to share it, and obviously allow people, more importantly, to paste it into the game and use that character you've designed. And that's exactly what I want to see from you guys here to populate my little mod world with as well. So let's go for Northern, and let's see what we can do with him. Right now, he looks a little bit sad, and I want him to look far more fearsome. So that's going to be really the goal of what we're going for here. He's got low body fat, medium body fat, or full body fat. We'll go medium. Yeah, I think I'm alright with that. Mostly it's going to be muscle, but I'm alright giving him a little bit of extra bulk there too. Bust size, of course, only visible for women. So in this situation is it just gets me every single time, the height slider. I think we need to take the height slider, let's be honest here, all the way up to the very top. Wow. In awe at the size of that lad. He's going to be fairly unstoppable here. Skin color, you can choose basically any skin color you like, regardless of ethnicity, which is obviously quite a nice little change. Let's just go for something. I mean, he's living in quite a cold area, so I think we need to go for something fairly pale. And then we'll head over to head and neck. Oh, wow, look at this guy. Okay, so head height. I kind of want to make him, like I said, quite a large guy. You know how you see cartoon character, you know, super powerful, super strong cartoon characters, massive chiseled jaws that their neck would definitely not be able to hold up. You know what? That's what we're going for. Head height. I want to have quite a low head height, because that highlights, I think, it's starting to look quite Neanderthal in hindsight. Oh dear. Head width. You know what? I think that looks okay. Neck length. Let's give him as much height as possible here. So I'm going to give him a longer neck, and then a much thicker neck too. Ears. Now, we can't actually see his ears right now because we've got his hairstyle up. But we'll go ahead and say no hair for the time being, so we can do a bit more customizing. So, ear angle. I think we need to keep them flat to his head, so they are less likely to get ripped off in battle. So, let's keep those as flat as possible. That's pretty good. And then outward, let's keep them small. This is a tactical ear design right here. Facial structure is going to be anything I can do to make that jaw as mighty as possible. So, I think high cheeks. I like the first one here, so that we can really bring a lot of attention to that. Got on the negative front. I like this one because again it's kind of tapering that jawline in. And let's bring it right down there. Yeah, I'm all right with that. Cheeks forward. I feel like that makes him look quite quite emaciated, doesn't it? Too long on the high sea, not enough time at home feasting. And let's... Oh, we can pull the cheeks right up. Yeah. That's good. That's great. This guy without a beard, we will take the beard away when we're finally done here and see exactly what we're left with. So we've got cheek. Okay, so let's check cheek width again. I think the thinner does lend itself better. Chin definition, maximum. You can see that affects the kind of underlip definition there. And then chin detail, we can either have a dimple or a cleft chin. I think the cleft chin is a bit more kind of traditional comic book style, isn't it? And then chin forward. I think that's too far. That is definitely far too far. I think we need to pull it back, but not by too much. You know, a little bit over that halfway point. It's very nice. Oh, yeah. About there. That's pretty good. And then width. Here we are. This is where it's really going to start coming into play. Forehead angle. Bring it back. It's all about being as bottom heavy as possible here. Brow height. Oh, there we are. That's what we're after. They're almost shielding him now. He's got built-in eye defense. He won't need to wear a helmet, this guy. Oh, and that's it. Oh, he's looking incredible already. And then the outer height on the brows. That makes him look fearsome. That is a fearsome warrior right there. I'm already extremely happy with him. I'd like to point out, I've made a lot of characters with the character designer so far. And even going weird with it. Even building some really extreme characters. I haven't seen two that really look the same, you know? There's so much variation here. And there's so much breadth with the actual sliders themselves. And I'm not just saying this, you know, because it's a sponsored video or anything like that. I'm genuinely saying that from a creative standpoint. You get a lot of control. I mean, look at it. You get so much control over these characters. Jaw angle. Oh, this is good. Now, that's a little bit, Now, I like that, but he's starting to look a little bit like a skeleton. I like this one, personally. Yeah, let's bring the jaw definition all the way to maximum there, too. This is a sharp man. Let's pull that back slightly. That's pretty good. Jaw height. Now, this is also going to be... There he is. Oh, there he is. Now, the jaw width, I think it'd be too easy to go super overboard on this one. So let's keep it in line. Let's keep it as square jaw as possibly we can have here. And then finally, we've got temple definition, which will pull all the way. And here's a Viking Raider, after all. Temples are not on his to-do list. Well, they are, but that's obviously raising them rather than being too invested in that otherwise. Right, so we've got all sorts of eye colors here too. We've got some borderline fancy ones over here as well. Get some really kind of red, borderline orange eyes. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That looks pretty good. So eye angle. Let's try and keep it so... See, now that is actually affecting his actual ear angle too, which I like. It makes him... They're desperately trying to make him look more human here. But we'll do something like that so it fits into his brow line a little bit more. Okay, now look, we can adjust his nose so it looks a bit more... Yeah, that's starting to... We'll try and smooth him out a little bit. We've gone very heavy on the jaw, and some of his other features have taken a lot of damage as a result. So I'm going to try and make him look a bit more normal here. You know what? I think I've actually redeemed him slightly here. There we are. And then we can either have his eyes really wide open because he is that observant and attentive, or we can have him very suspicious of people. But I feel like he hasn't got the intrigue stats for his eyes to be so suspicious. Brilliant. Well, I think I've really outdone myself there, and I've very much defined him to the point that he now looks like a regular person again, after I very much made him look a bit too comic book character to start off with. You got the nasolabial detail. That's always a good one to have. That's pretty good. Nose ridge angle, and then nose definition, just smooth it out a little bit. That's good. That's really good. I'm waiting to see what he looks like when we've got the full height of the character in there too. I've gone ahead and finished off the rest of his nose there, and I've tried to make him look, you know, as normal as I possibly can with a human being of this variety. So now we can affect his mouth, and again, to not draw too much attention, we are going to pull that back in. After this, I think I'll design, and I'll try and make a character that looks nice. You know, I'll try and make one that looks very human here. But this is for my own personal testing, I think. Oh, that's good. That actually changes a lot. Oh, look at that. Yeah. I think that's it. The subtle nose, the subtle mouth, the intense eyes, and the warrior's chin. Now, we need to put the cherry on the cake, perhaps literally in this situation, and go for a hairstyle for our mighty warrior. Now, I think because he is a warrior, he would probably have it a bit more maintained. I think he would probably have it shorter rather than longer. I know the kind of stereotype is the long flowing hair. Oh, in some ways though, In some ways, though, I could really be convinced. That one's called Raider, which is kind of what I was going for. But I do like this. I think it gives him an incredible framing. And then we can make him look... here we go. It's a bit more Viking characteristic, right? Now, for the beard, I'm worried that the beard may take away from the chin itself. And I think that's quite exactly what it's doing. Like that. That's just a man with an intense stare. That is a man with an intense stare you would not want to get into a fight with. I'm very happy with how he looks here. So overall, if we go finish appearance now, I think he's good. Cuddles the Enormous. What a guy. Before I get too distracted, let's go back to the traits here. I did get way too invested into his appearance, I will admit. Brilliant strategist. Very, very necessary. I think personality-wise, I think he would be, you know, a diligent man. He knows what he has to do. Wrathful is necessary. I think he would be patient, though. I think wrathful and patient. He knows when it's time to strike is, and he takes the opportunity and he is decisive about it. Brave, of course, should be necessary. You can take as many personality traits as you want, by the way, that as long as they don't conflict with anything else you've got going on here. And I think ambitious. Yeah, I'm liking that. Now, for his traits, I want to go Blade Master. I want to give him a bit of a chance to grow there. So we're not going to go for Legendary Blade Master right off the bat. He is an Overseer. I mean, is there nothing that he can't see with eyes like that? And then maybe Strategist too, but I don't want him to come across as too smart here. I think he's got the learning for a Strategist trait. Maybe Whole of Body wouldn't be a bad one. Well, you know what? We can go a little bit further than that. And of course, we can take him down to Herculean, I think is necessary, and Strong, I think is necessary too. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, we can also go, I assume somewhere in here is Giant. Let me see if I can very quickly find it amongst the trait list. There we are, Giant. So now we have Giant, Forder, Adventurer, Strong, Herculean, Overseer, and Blade Master. Now, this is a ridiculous character. He's got far too high martial, so I'm going to bring him a little bit back down to the realms of reality. 69 prowess was, of course, a complete coincidence there. Let's go ahead and bring that right back down to the 40-40. Now, we are 600 points over our achievement limit, but we have built a monstrous character. So this would, of course, very much skew things in favor of you if you were to have this guy, but I'm very happy with him. Wow, we can make him even more monstrous, huh? Now let's adjust his weight based on how we've designed him. I think if we put him to like there. Cuddles the Enormous. I'm really happy with this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the DNA here and I'll make sure that that is somewhere where you guys can find it. So if you guys want to play as Cuddles the Enormous as well, that will be available to you. There he is. Enormous Cuddles. Let's finalize him and let's go ahead and dive in to Orkney with our guy. And I will, of course, be bringing him over. And that's quite literally as simple as that. I love the fact that you just hit a button and then you are straight into game with him there. That is truly fearsome and kind of horrifying. What a guy. Wow, I almost want to do a playthrough as Cuddles now, huh? I think he's legitimately a really appealing character. We've never reformed Norse, so I could be very persuaded. Let's go back to the character designer. Now that I've immortalized Cuddles, I have his DNA. Let's go and design a character who I think could be a bit more of a standard human character that you might be interested in playing as. So we're going to once again create a ruler in Orkney, a North Germanic ruler, and this time we'll make it super serious with the achievements limit as well, to kind of show both sides of the coin. So we're going to go for a random Norse or as a true name here. So we can go for Canute. Canute's a good name. Canute, very, very famous man, owned a lot of land, including where I live right now. So that seems fairly appropriate. We're going to go for you. Dynasty. Newt. We could call him Knutson or something like that. That could be quite appropriate. Let's see what the game throws us. And I'll see if I like any that I can... Oh, Knut Skald is actually really good. That's like the most Norse name I think I've ever heard in my whole life. Now, Canute, we need a very Nordic symbol for what is a very, very Nordic man so far. This is going to be quite... I'm going to be quite, I think, strict with this, to be honest with you. Chieftain of Orkney already has an incredibly Nordic icon there, so I'm happy to keep that how it is. The Volkner. How can I not take the Volkner? Knut Skald with the Volkner, with the Longship as his chiefdom's coat of arms there. And now we'll try and design a character that you could realistically play with achievements. So... at the age of... obviously, you could start as a child. And that will give you all the customization points. The downside to that is, of course, you have to survive all those years. Now, we're going to play around 25 is where you gain a lot of customization points, but of course 18 is when you can start playing as a character. The problem with that, of course, you get, you know, the new ruler, the young ruler, negatives, malices to your opinion. So we're going to start as young as possible, but where we've actually got the education available to us there. So we're going to start as... Although if we start at 17 and pick his education, ooh, that's quite a tricky one. 99 versus 106. I'm going to play as 106, and then I'm going to make what I would play... Aiming for achievements, you know, say if there was an achievement to restore the Norse faith and restore the Filkera, I'm going to design a character I would probably play as for that. So I'd probably go level 3 on the education here, because for your first character for a lot of campaigns, you pretty much want to focus immediately on the inheritable traits, right? So Genius gives us 240. That puts us right up to the limit there, but you are an incredible starting character just with those 2 traits alone. I think I would like to go for Intelligent. Just because it's a higher inherit chance than Genius, you could make an argument for, you know, one of the kind of physical inheritable traits, Hale, Robust, or Herculean. Robust also has an argument because that way you get the health boost, you get the prowess as well. I think I'm gonna go Intelligent. And you know what, we can throw in Robust as well, and maybe I can readjust him slightly here to let's get rid of Learning, let's get rid of Intrigue, and let's drop Stewardship down as well. I think Diplomacy and Martial would be the important stats that I would personally start off with here. I think I would... Now, Prowess is a tricky one, isn't it? Because we can gain a lot from our lifestyle perks to really help build them up. Starting with 9 Prowess is already pretty good, and 2 inheritable traits is quite nice. But we haven't done anything with his personality. I'm going to take away Robust. I'm going to throw in Hale instead. That gives us 2 Prowess, the small boost, and the Attraction Opinion. And all of that is for 60 points. I think that's reasonable. Or could I do... Okay, let's take a look at what we can get, though. Because I could go Lustful, which gives the fertility. We could go for some nice kind traits to get Attractive Opinion. And if we go for something like Just, for example, to make our vassals like us, that would cancel out that young age penalty that we've got as well. And what are favoured by the Norse faith? So we've got Wrathful here. Natural Dread plus 20, but that lowers our Diplomacy down a little bit more. We do gain a lot of Martial out of that, though. So Wrathful, to put this into perspective, that's plus 3 Martial for 30 points. We could, for that price, put 3 Martial in and not take the negatives. But, of course, we miss out on that Virtue. So I think I want to take Wrathful. I want to take something to make people like me a little bit more. Maybe like Gregarious is a good one. That gives us the Attraction Opinion. It's 30 age. That gives us 355. We've got the bonus to the Martial there. We've got the Attraction Opinion too. The only downside is, of course, this compared to Hale isn't inheritable. I like this. I think this is pretty good. 355. And we might as well spend all of our points here. We can if we want to be very, very careful. If I was doing an achievement run, I think in this situation I'd start married. Maybe bump him up by a couple of years and start with a son. That takes us to 373. Maybe even 2 sons. 2 sons, 373. I think if you were going for an achievement playthrough, that would be a very safe start. Maybe not married, actually. Just so that way you could go and get an alliance straight off the bat. That's free to get married and unmarried, just for reference. I think I would probably start unmarried so we could get that alliance straight away and, you know, really go for some congenital traits. But we do have those children in the bank in case anything terrible happens. This is quite a good guy. 383. And we can bump up his Martial a little tiny bit more here too if we want. 20 Martial. We've got Skilled Tactician. We've got Intelligent as an inheritable trait. We've got a Virtue. 2 kids to carry on the dynasty. We've got quite low Prowess. I'm going to do that the opposite way around then. We'll do something like that. Can we take that? Oh, 401. That's a shame. Damn, we're slightly over there, but that's okay. We'll go for the 9 Prowess. We'll go for the 18 Martial. Yeah, big fan of that. Let's go ahead and customize him. Now, this guy I want to make a bit more reasonable. Again, I could paste in the DNA from our previous guy, and there he is, but we are not going to go for you again because you are a horrendous, horrendous man. My goal with this guy was to make a character that was, you know, representative of his age, because he's only 18, so I didn't give him the huge Viking beard here. I wanted him to be, you know, I wanted to give him that authority, but, you know, he still looks quite young as well. He's got the hair, the kind of long, again, stereotypical Viking hair there, but it's not quite there yet, because, of course, he is, again, only quite young. I think this looks like it could be a real human being, and it's kind of freaking me out a little bit, you know? It's very Uncanny Valley territory, which is far from a bad thing, because it does look way more realistic than a CK3 character really should, you know? Here we are. We've come so far from CK2. That's very much the key point here. 18 years of age, 397 customization points, and we have Knut Skald. ready for his many battles and scars and much larger Viking beard. I would be pretty good with this guy. And of course, achievements aren't available. That's only because I haven't selected Iron Man mode. There he is. Canute of Orkney. The question is, who would win between him and Cuddles the Enormous? I need to get both of these guys, don't I? One on Shetland, one in Orkney. I think that'd be incredible to see them dueling over the same Duchy level title. I might do exactly that because I think that would be very, very cool. So I'm going to throw both of those characters into my own little mod there, the Battle of Crowns, and we'll see which one comes out on top here. The real life could be a very feasible human being character that is Canute Skald, or whether we have the horrendous monster, the gigantic comic book type character that is Cuddles the Enormous. I can't remember what I called his last. Back Scratcher, that was it. Cuddles Back Scratcher, the Enormous Man. And like I said, if you guys want to go and send me your characters as well, I'll be taking a look in my own Discord in the CK3 modding channel. If you want to tweet those at me too, I'll be picking my favorites and throwing them into Battle of Crowns as we play through our little campaign there, and seeing if they crop up as leaders of their new dynasties that I will populate the map with. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys have enjoyed this look at the Ruler Designer for Crusader Kings III. Free update coming out today. Check out those links in the description and, of course, in the pinned comment as well. Of course, a big thank you to Paradox for sponsoring this video. Let me know how you get on with it. I'm very, very interested to see what you guys come up with, or terrified, one or the other.